Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. My name is Nick, and I just got back from Record Store Day, so I'm going to talk about all the interesting things that I managed to pick up. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you click on the link down below and go check out the Vinyl Den Facebook group. Like I say, every episode, it's a growing community, and it's just a kind of a really cool place to hang out with a bunch of really great record collectors who are really knowledgeable about music in general. And, you tend to not get a lot of the snobbiness that you get from some of the other groups out there. I think we've got a pretty cool group of people that really just kind of talk about music. And it's just a pretty cool, chill place to just hang out. It's definitely brought some enjoyment back to Facebook for me. But so like I said, go and join that. Make sure you give the episode a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. There's also a link down below for our merch page. It's got some shirts on there. If you want to buy a shirt and support the Vinyl Den, that'd be awesome. There's also a link for our Patreon page also. So Record Store Day was pretty interesting. I went out there with Ian last night. We got out to the store. We went out to Dearborn Music, like we typically go to. We got out there pretty early, I want to say. Actually, I think it was the earliest we've ever gotten out there. And we got out there a little before 11 o'clock last night. And actually, when I pulled up, I drove out there with my son, Jack, and Ian actually drove separately. But my son and I got out there first, and when we pulled in, there was actually another vehicle parked in front of the record store, but no one was actually in line. So we kind of pulled up. My son got out while I was kind of getting the chairs and stuff together, and the guy that was in the other car got out, and it was actually Mike, somebody that's actually in our Facebook group. So it was kind of cool. We got to sit out there for a little while and talk about music. It was, like I said, we got there a little before 11 o'clock. It was probably maybe another half an hour or so before anyone else showed up. But really until midnight or a little after midnight, there was maybe 5 or 6 of us sitting out there. So that was kind of cool. It wasn't really until after 12:30, maybe 1 o'clock, when some more people started to kind of trickle in. And it wasn't really until, I'd say, between 2 and 3, I think, when a vast majority of people really started showing up. I'll put some pictures up of what this line looked like. It's kind of hard to see in the first picture because it's kind of dark, but the line at one point stretched down past the little shopping center where Dearborn Music is. And I want to say that was probably, it was before the sun came up, so it was definitely before, I'd say 6:30. So at that time, there was a pretty decent number of people in line. I'd probably say it was at least 100, 150 people at that point by 6 or 7 o'clock. And then when Dearborn Music opened at 8 a.m., I'll put a video up online. The line stretched all the way down around the street, and actually I think down the backside of the block. And there was easily 300 people in line. As the store opened up, more and more people were actually showing up to the store. So the way that Dearborn Music does Record Store Day, at least since the pandemic started, and I think they got this idea from Amoeba Records out in California. So at 8 o'clock when the doors open, they give everyone a list. And you mark down what titles you want. And there's a ticket on here in order from the first in line all the way down to the last. And they pull the orders in order. And they send you a text message when your order's ready. And then I want to say at 8:30 is when they start letting people in the doors to buy RSD orders. You can't actually get into the store to buy regular orders until after 10 o'clock. So it's a really, really efficient way to do Record Store Day. I assume kind of moving forward that they're going to stick with this system because, like I said, they went through 300 people in the matter of, I'd say they had a bulk of those orders in and processed within an hour, I'd say. So it was really interesting to kind of sit back and watch the process unfold because, like I said, they don't have a really big staff, but it's just really efficient the way they do it. Well, part of me does kind of miss the record store day experience. You know, the doors open up, everyone rushes inside, you're looking for the titles you want. It's kind of chaos for a little bit. I kind of like this system that Dearborn does, and Amoeba does, because I think it's a little more fair. I think that if you're sitting out there for, 9 hours plus, I think you kind of deserve to get everything you want on your list. And it seems like I said, it takes some of that chaos out of it. I think that the employees like this system a little bit better because it makes it a lot easier on them. They just take the orders and pull them and set them on the side and kind of move on. And I would assume moving forward, Dearborn would probably stick with some kind of system that is at least similar to this, how they're doing it now. So now that the process of Record Store Day is kind of out of the way, it's time to get to some of the stuff that I picked up. The first album here was one that, something new that Dearborn Music did this year was the first 25 people in line got like a mystery bag. And it had stickers and things like that. My son got a cassette. It was a Lou Reed cassette my son got, which that's pretty cool. He doesn't have a cassette player. I do, so I'll probably end up stealing that from him. But I don't remember what Ian got in his, but I got an album that I have never heard of before. This is Vagabond. Don't know what it is. Hey, it's free. I'll definitely check it out. So that was one of the ones I got. I did manage to pick a couple of non-Record Store Day releases. Obviously, that Vagabond wasn't a Record Store Day release. Dearborn Music was doing a 15% off sale on everything, including Record Store Day releases, which that's always pretty cool. But that was the main reason why I kind of stuck around, because there was a couple of things I wanted to get. One of the ones in my Tuesday video I talked about was Bob Seger Live Bullet. This is the Record Store Day. I'm sorry, not Record Store Day. This is the Indie Record Store exclusive. This is a red swirl. So it's pretty cool. I'm a big fan of colored records. I could have got the standard black one for a little cheaper. And I know I talked about the price of this album because it was, list price was, $45 on this. And with that discount, why not? I'll definitely support my my independent record store because I love Dearborn Music. They're just a great place to shop at. Another one that I talked about in the video on Tuesday that I said I was kind of on the fence on, but depending on if they had it in stock and if I can get it on a discount. And this was The Better Life by Three Doors Down. I'm not a huge Three Doors Down fan, but this is really their only album that I really even liked. It's a really good album, though, for what it is. That 90s rock, alternative rock, whatever you want to call it. But this is the 3 LP deluxe edition. Like I said, it's a kind of a steep price for what it was, but it's a good album, and I got it for on discount. So it's one that I'm definitely going to check out. There's the demo on there, the rare demos that have never been released. I think that's kind of a cool thing. I'll definitely check that out. All right, so now on to some of the Record Store Day albums I picked up. The first one isn't an album; it's actually a documentary, and it was one that they didn't have. I didn't see on the list initially, and I managed to track down. Once the store opened up for regular business, I tracked down one of the store owners, and he actually had a copy of it left. But this is the Vinyl Nation documentary that came out last year. It's pretty cool. This is a DVD and Blu-ray combo, and I thought it was pretty cool that they packaged it in a record jacket. But I've been wanting to see this thing since it was released. So one that it was pretty cool. I was definitely interested to see if they had it, because they only released 1,000 of these, and these are actually hand numbered. I got it's not a low number if you enjoy that kind of stuff. 915 out of 1,000, but definitely a cool one to grab. One that I saw on the list initially, and there was nothing that I ended up picking up that I decided I was going to get in line. I kind of stuck to my list and really I didn't want to go off too much because there was a couple of things I was looking at. I know the Def Leppard live concert from 1980. I kind of went back and forth on. I decided at the end of the day just kind of stick to my list. But one that I initially wanted when the first list was first released was At the Movies by Kenny Loggins. I know people are like, really, Kenny Loggins? But Kenny Loggins in the 80s did some incredible soundtracks. And this is all the stuff, not all the stuff, but these are like his greatest hits from those movie soundtracks. So it was definitely a cool one to grab. Another one that I got that I was actually really surprised went really fast. And this is The Truth by Prince. There was a ton of these that were released. I want to say there was 15 or 20,000 of these that were released for Record Store Day. And these went really fast. Dearborn Music had a pretty decent selection of them, or I don't know exactly how many they had, but I knew there was quite a few people in line I heard talking about this album. But within the first 30 minutes, I know that they were sold out of them. So I'm not a huge fan of live albums, even though I do have quite a few of them, and they've grown on me the last couple of years. But this next one, this is the Battle of Mexico City. This is Rage Against the Machine. This is a show from October of 1999. I want to say there was only like 5,000 people at this show in Mexico. And this was one that wasn't super limited, but I wasn't really sure if I was gonna be able to get a copy if I wasn't like super close to the front door, just because I didn't know how many of these that Dearborn was going to order. So that was kind of a cool one to grab. Another one is one that I'm sure a lot of people probably passed on, even though this is an incredible album. I'm not sure about this mix of it though, but this is Palo Alto by Thelonious Monk. This actually was released, I don't remember if it was like beginning of this year or last year that this came out. I did a video on the Palo Alto, the regular pressing when it was released. This was a show that Thelonious Monk did at a high school back in the 60s. And it was the custodian that recorded the concert. And this is the just kind of the raw audio mix of what that custodian recorded. So I thought that was kind of cool, even though I have the standard pressing of it that came out. I thought it was kind of a cool like little sister album to go along with Palo Alto. So the last three I have were probably the top three on my list. And the first one is, this is Linkin Park Meteora. This was supposed to be released last year for Record Store Day. I don't remember if it was the October drop and it got pushed back to Black Friday and then it got pushed off indefinitely, or if it was initially supposed to be Black Friday and it got pushed off. Regardless, it ended up coming out today. And this was one that I was really interested in checking out. I love this album. I actually have a standard black version of it, but it's probably my favorite Linkin Park album. I don't know why they did it on blue vinyl, but whatever, because I figured they'd pick something that maybe fit the theme of the album a little bit better. But I don't know, maybe there's a reason behind why they did it on blue. If anyone out there knows, drop me a comment and let me know, because I thought blue was kind of a odd color to pick. The next one is this is From Here to Infirmary by Alkaline Trio. This was probably the first thing I saw on the list that immediately was like, all right, well, I've got to go to this drop. I'm a big Alkaline Trio fan. Matt Skiba he does some great work. This is an absolutely fantastic album. I think they're going to reissue all of the Alkaline Trio albums, so I'm assuming maybe they're just going to start with this one. Great album. And of course, the last one here, this was definitely the main reason I went out for Record Store Day. This is the Morrison Hotel Sessions. I'm a huge Doors fan. I have been really since I was younger. And Morrison Hotel has been my favorite Doors album for a really long time. So to be able to listen to these outtakes of the songs that end up being on Morrison Hotel was definitely a really cool thing. I love the stuff that they did for Record Store Day last year when they did the Soft Parade Stripped. It was interesting to hear how they stripped out the horns and strings and all that stuff. So I love what the Doors are doing for Record Store Day. This is a really cool one. Can't wait to break this one. This will probably be the first one I listen to. Well, that's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Thanks for checking out my my Record Store Day Drop 1 haul. I got some great stuff. I'm really excited for Record Store Day Drop 2 next month. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get out there as early as I did for this one. I'm supposed to work that weekend, so I'm trying to get it off, so we'll see what happens. But hopefully I can, because there's a little bit more limited stuff next month that I'm looking forward to. Drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you guys, and if you guys were able to get everything you were looking for. I know, unfortunately, I saw a couple of people on Facebook after I went through the line and picked out my list that were like, hey, if you guys are able to grab this for me, could you please? And like I said, I was too busy chit-chatting in line, so I wasn't really paying attention to Facebook, so I wasn't able to grab anything extra for anyone else. But let me know if you guys were able to get everything. It looked like most people I saw online were able to find most things. I feel like the more limited Record Store Day releases are next month, so we'll see what ends up happening then. If you enjoyed the episode, give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below, and that's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.